Hello, this is Preston Mars. This is a critique that I'm doing for a client that is now a client after having had his resume written by a professional resume writer. And it was a free critique that I do for clients and prospective clients to evaluate where they are now and where they need to be. What's important to note here is that the gentleman spent a whole lot of money to get this done, well into three figures, and there's just lots of things wrong with this particular document. So let's talk about what we need to do. The first thing here is, of course, this is Mr. X because I want to keep the client's identity and information confidential. But this is done in a font that is called Cambria. It is an elective font. It's not a system font. And that's important to you because if you send this to somebody that doesn't have the same typeface or font installed on their system, it simply will show up either as a default font or it could possibly show up as gibberish, especially if they're opening an attachment in Microsoft Word or in even an Acrobat potentially. But at any rate, this gentleman, for all intents and purposes, we'll call Mr. X. What we need to do is we need to go ahead and convert this to a Times Roman, Arial, Helvetica, or Verdana. Those are the most popular resume fonts, and they are on every system that has been around since probably about the early 2000s. The other thing that I would do is that here he has a situation where everything is, as far as address information, has been flushed to the right. A better way of doing that would have been to go ahead and just simply right indent it. It would have looked better, would have been easier on the eyes, and just been more aesthetically pleasing. But the real problems are when we actually go into the resume itself. When we start looking at things like the professional objective. Number one, there's really no need for the word professional. Objective would have been simple enough if it was even needed. And in this particular case, it wouldn't have been my election to use an objective. And if you can't say an objective or state it in writing in probably a handful of words or less, then it's too long. And in this case, as you can tell, it's a full paragraph. It's several sentences that are actually run-on sentences. So grammatically, it's not very good, and then aesthetically, it's even worse. What he's got here is he's got the beginnings of a qualification statement, which is actually this statement right here. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and either eliminate the objective statement, and this is what I'm going to do with his resume. Go ahead and put his job title at the forefront or what he wants to apply for at the forefront. And any of this that is relevant, and it's questionable as to whether a lot of this is even relevant. Some of it is just what I in the business call fluffy speak. I'm going to fold this into a summary statement that makes a lot more sense. Secondly, let's talk about the summary of qualifications. It's starting to get a little bit heavy. If I fold all this information into this information here, I can promise you it's going to be a lot more extensive than what it needs to be if I continue to use the kind of language that's being used throughout. Um, Other things you might want to so aesthetically, it's always a good idea. It looks like this is intended to be a heading. Well, if it's a heading, separate it. Add a space here. It's worth a little bit of real estate to separate these sections for ease of reading. The other things that come into play are the use of italics and bolding. You never do both. It's one or the other. Typically, I do occasionally break that rule, but usually when it comes to things like capitalization, italics, underlining, and bold facing, use them sparingly. Here, and you never combine both of them. Here, the both of them are being used together. That's one of those things you just really don't ever do, not as a professional. If you're going to use bullets, everybody and his mother has seen the round bullets. Try to go with something a little bit different if you're going to use bullets at all. I don't have any problem with using them to separate important information. They're a needed convention within a resume. But change them to check marks, change them to the arrow, change them to anything other than the typical traditional round. It breaks with tradition while giving you a good appearance. And again, eliminate the use of any two of these together. Italics, underline, boldface, and capitalization. Use one. Don't use any two of those together. They hurt the document rather than help it. As we move further along, we've got the same problems in all the sections as far as the information concerning work experience goes. For example, here we've got his first position, and the cardinal rule's already been broken, and that cardinal rule is obviously, excuse me, is obviously the professional work experience being butted right up against his first job title. I don't really have a problem with the way he laid out the heading for the section, but I do have a big problem with the bold and italics and underlining. That's kind of breaking the major rule that I just talked to you about 3 ways. So at any rate, when we go into this, again, we've got the use of italics. Not only do I not like the use of italics, and not only do most employment professionals not like them, but here it's kind of an irrelevant use of an italic, because if you're going to use a subheader for this particular area here, which is located in the Mediterranean off of Egypt, that's not really an achievement. It merely states international experience, should be folded into an addition and a modification of probably this first statement. There's no need for italicizing the dates that he was employed with these people. And employers. The same applies pretty much to all the sections. Secondarily, he's got what I call a treatment that's called death by bullets, or what I call death by bullets. If you're going to bullet every statement, then what you might want to consider doing is starting to combine statements and maybe make a little bit of maybe a 2-sentence or a 3-sentence entry, and then bullet 3 or 4 items as opposed to doing the whole thing. It's kind of a subjective thing. Sometimes it does look better to have bullets, but again, try to get away from the round ones. The other thing here is that some of this information starts to become redundant because you're using the same kind of description several times underneath the same employer. That shows that you really didn't give it much thought, and you probably should have prepared yourself a little better. Don't like the heading for the second page. That can be improved. And the same goes for the italics once again. Certainly no need for the telephone number where it's placed. And then we get into the areas that are the most problematic. This information, certifications and licensure, skills and experience, passports and visas, education. First off, certifications and licensure is obviously misspelled. This is all what I call eye teeth information. It belongs on the first page. These are particular skill sets and particular licenses and certifications that his kind of employers are going to be looking for. The only thing that's not relevant is the education. Unless it is a skill, a trade, or college education, there's no need to put that you are a high school grad. That is assumed, especially when you've got this much experience. So that in a nutshell is what I do with a critique. Is number one, you need to know that I talk to employers regularly, oftentimes as much as 1 hour to 2 hours a day. And what I'm asking them is very simple. What are they looking for? What do they want? Why do they want it? And how do they prefer a candidate submit their resume to them? In those cases, I'll be quite candid with you. It's not about what you want as my client. It really isn't about what I want as your professional writer and consultant. It's about what the employer wants. And you need to keep that at the forefront. This is what I do to make myself a professional resume writer. And this is the difference between somebody spending, again, probably close to mid 3 figures for the resume with someone that put their shingle out, claim to be a resume writer, and a real professional like me. After 30 years and over 14,000 of these documents, 93% of which did help clients either secure employment or get better employment, I'm kind of the guy that you want to talk to. You can use anybody you want to. If you want to pay $5, $10, $15, $50 to get your resume done, by all means, go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, you're going to wind up with a cookie cutter template document, and that's not good for you, and it's not good for your career. Good resumes make differences not only in how many opportunities you're presented, but how much money you make, the quality of company that you work for, the quality of benefits that you get. Sometimes you might even find yourself qualifying for positions you didn't even think you did. So, all right, this is Preston Mars. I'm at 281-743-8573. or I can be reached at prestonmars@gmail.com. I do these evaluations completely free of charge. I let you make up your own mind as to whether or not I'm worth the ridiculously low fees that I charge. I am semi-retired after 30 years of doing this. I do these out of my spare bedroom, which eliminates me having assistants and writers and people in third world countries, which a lot of resume services unfortunately just take your work and flip it to a writer in India or a writer somewhere else in the world that may not have an interest in really doing it right, but by doing it as they see fit, and that's not going to get you places. So folks, give me a call. Again, it's Preston Mars, 281-743-8573, or prestonmars@gmail.com. Send it to me. I'll evaluate it to you, give you a call. You'll talk to me always. I do the writing always, and I answer calls between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. every day. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Bye-bye.